If you're at all like me, then you're pretty much always looking for something new and creative to make. And that doesn't always have to mean like coming up with a completely new dessert that nobody's ever heard of. It can be a variation of something or just a new exciting flavor of something you already know and love. And pies are a fantastic way to do that. There is pretty much a pie for every season of the year. If you're looking to switch it up a little bit, you can make what's called a galette or a crostata. Crostata is the Italian version, galette's the French version, but it's a free-form pie. Instead of putting it in a pie dish, you lay it flat on a sheet, put the filling in the middle, and fold it up and over itself. It's really rustic, it's so cool, and it's an exciting update on an old-time classic. So this pie crust is super simple, and the key to good flaky pie crust is cold ingredients. So I have my 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, pinch of salt in my food processor, and I have a 1/2 cup of very cold unsalted butter. I cubed it and I actually put it in the freezer for a few minutes, just because we want bits of butter throughout the dough. You don't want it completely pulverized and mixed. And I'm gonna have some ice water here ready to go. So all you do, and you can do this by hand or with a pastry cutter, there are so many ways to make pie crust, is I'm just gonna put this in my food processor on a low speed until I see the butter is chopped up into various size pieces. It doesn't need to be consistent. You just want to see chunks of butter and flour. And now to this, we're going to be adding some ice water. So I start with about 6 tablespoons, which normally works for me, but if it's too dry, you can add more, a tablespoon at a time. But I find 6 is generally the right amount for this, using it this way. And this is gonna go on my board here. Don't want to handle it too much because we want it to stay nice and cold. I'm just going to collect it into a disc. So I'm just going to pop this in the fridge while we make the filling, because unlike a pie in a pie dish, we don't pre-bake this dough. So this can chill in the fridge, stay nice and cold while we get this filling going. Now, anytime I make a pie, I really want it to reflect the season, and it is summer right now. It's really warm outside, and I just think berries, like blackberries. I saw blackberries at the store, they looked really good, and they were on sale. I love a good sale honey. So anytime I'm thinking of a flavor for whatever dessert I'm making, I go to the store, I see what looks good, if there's a sale, and then I kind of start from there and think, okay, what goes well with this? So blackberries, pretty tart. And they can really stand up to a lot of aromatics. So what I love to put with them is fresh thyme, lemon zest, and nutmeg. Sounds like an interesting combination, but you would be amazed at how good thyme is in baked goods, with especially berries. That's why thyme is probably my favorite herb, because it can be used savory or sweet. And it's gonna be a very simple cooked pie filling. I've got some water, some granulated sugar, and just a little bit of cornstarch as a thickening agent in there. So I'm just gonna get my gas on, and I'm gonna add my blackberries in, along with my cornstarch and sugar, our water, pinch of salt, and all of that amazing flavor. Everything pretty much goes in at once, so very easy. And I'm just gonna stir this with my wooden spoon here. And basically all we're gonna do is we're gonna cook this over medium heat until the berries start to break down a little bit and the mixture thickens nicely. And you'll see this is a beautiful thickened blackberry filling. We don't need tons because we're laying this flat and folding it over on itself. So unlike a traditional pie, you don't need to pile this high with filling because it's not gonna look too pretty if you do. Alrighty now, so it is time to get this assembled. I have my sheet with parchment ready there. I've got my rolling pin, my flour, and my beautiful chilled pie crust. Crust is something great to make in advance. You can keep it in the fridge for like up to 5 days probably, and then just leave it at room temperature for about 20 minutes before you roll it, and you're good to go. So I'm gonna lightly dust my surface with some flour here, not too much, because I don't want the crust to absorb all of it and dry out. So I'm gonna take my lovely little disc of pie crust here. Just get some flour on both sides, and then I'm just gonna gently roll this out in each direction to keep it in a nice even circle. And you wanna make sure you pretty much continuously move it around just to ensure that it's not gonna stick to your surface. I like to do it this way to make sure it's an even thickness throughout. Trying to keep it in as much of a circle as I can. But this is a galette. Galettes are supposed to have a rustic side to them, so if it's not a perfect circle, it's definitely not the end of the world. As centered as I can get it, pretty much. We are just going to pour all of this gorgeous filling right in the middle. But you want to leave a solid few inches of a border around the whole circle. So that looks good. And now here is what makes a galette a galette. You start with one end, you fold it up and over, and then you kind of just make a corner with that, fold it up and over, and you simply repeat with every side of the dough. And then final end here. And you should end with a rustic octagon or hexagonal type shape, but she's looking pretty good. So this is why you want to do it on the sheet that you're going to bake it on, because you can't really transfer this after you've done this. And this beauty is going to go into a 375 Fahrenheit oven for around 35 minutes or until it is nice and golden brown. We want to make sure this pie crust is all the way baked through. And because there are folds and other layers of it, it will take a little bit longer. So about 35 minutes, keep checking it. It may need a little more time or may be done in less. All ovens run different. It is the best time of the day. It is galette time. So this actually took about 45 minutes in the oven. Just to get that crust a nice golden brown. And I let it cool for about an hour just because I want to be able to cut it and not have the filling spill out everywhere. But I must say this smelled absolutely wonderful while it was baking. And the filling stays really nicely. And this, I mean, look at that right there. The way the filling got all the way underneath that crust. And you can see in there that the crust is cooked through. The full written recipe is on my website. The link is in the description, along with the link for my cookbook. Be sure to order your copy. Check out all my social media. Leave me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, and leave some comments down below. Until next time, this is Bake It with AJ. Lord have mercy. She is tasty. When there's silence in the room, you know it's good.